In the book of Job, as we know, Job suffers great loss due to Satan's accusation, asking, "Does Job fear God for nothing?" As a result, Job loses all his children, possessions, and wealth in a single moment. Satan then strikes him again, this time with painful boils all over and Job ends up scraping himself with a piece of broken pottery. Even his wife tells him to curse God and die, abandoning him in his suffering. Job is suddenly plunged into immense pain and hardship. Later, his three friends Eliphaz, Bildad, and Zophar come to comfort him. However, overwhelmed by the situation, they are initially speechless. Eventually, they question Job, saying that such suffering could not come upon someone who is truly innocent, urging him to repent, claiming that God disciplines those he loves. Then Elihu also joins in, accusing Job of arrogance and claiming that his suffering is the result of his pride. At first, Job responds humbly to his friends, cursing the day of his birth and saying, "Even if I were righteous, I could not answer him. I would plead with my judge for mercy." As the debates continue, Job becomes wary and begins to pour out his heart to God in Job chapter 7. He describes his agony using metaphors, such as clouds vanishing, and expresses feelings of despair, even beginning to blame God. Despite the relentless accusations from his three friends and Elihu, Job maintains that he has committed no lustful acts, has avoided the desires of the eyes, helped orphans and widows, and did not seek wealth for himself. He insists that he has lived the kind of life God desires. This angers Elihu, who rebukes Job, asking, "Do you think you are more righteous than God?" Elihu continues by explaining the workings of the world and God's justice. Then finally, in chapter 38, the Lord appears to Job out of a whirlwind, saying, "Who is this that darkens counsel by words without knowledge?" God reveals his divine wisdom, describing his creation of the universe and showing that he alone controls life and death. He is the Almighty. Job, overwhelmed by God's presence, confesses, "My ears had heard of you, but now my eyes have seen." He realizes he is but dust and ashes and repents. He repents not only for being a sinner with original sin, inherited from Adam, but also for claiming his own righteousness before his friends. God, who knows all things, tells Job's three friends, "You have not spoken of me. What is right as my servant Job has." He commands them to receive Job's intercessory prayer, so that they will not be cursed. Interestingly, Elihu is not rebuked, perhaps because he spoke rightly of God's justice, and after Job repents, God blesses him with twice as much as he had before, and the story concludes with restoration. As James 5 tells us, Job had faith in God and was ultimately rewarded through perseverance. The book of Job shows us that human righteousness is not enough to be justified before God. Through Job's trials, we see that only by God's righteousness fulfilled through Jesus Christ in the New Testament can we be truly justified. The book of Job foreshadows God's sovereign plan and his redemptive work through. Thank you.